Hello and welcome to another episode of Without Pain Wednesday, where we get together once a week to talk about a different topic related to getting out of the back pain cycle for good. This week is all about you, the core balance training students. There's no real topic today, so we're going to be introducing to you a new feature that we have added to the program called the Student Hub, which is a community that it was created for you as the students to be able to collaborate, to congregate and collaborate with each other, share experiences, ask questions. And so that's what my goal is today, is to introduce you to that and answer any questions you have. And then, as usual, we do have some prepared questions from the students from last week. So I will be going into the Q&A portion after we go through the Student Hub. So welcome and thank you for being here if you're here live. And let me know if my audio is working, if the video is working. It's hard to tell from this end. But what I can say is we've been working our tails off over here at Core Balance Training headquarters, just getting ready to launch this Student Hub. And so a lot's been happening this morning, and everyone that's a member of the program should have access already right now to the Student Hub. So if you're saying, what is the Student Hub? That's what I'm here to do right now, is answer that question. And if you are on your computer, you can actually try and go to it right now as we go through it. So let's get right into it. Go ahead and switch screens here. So if you are a core balance training student or member, whatever you want to call it, this is your library page, or you can also, I think, if you click here, it's called My Account. So if you go to My Program. Sorry, My Program. So that has all your courses and products. So you have the Core Balance Training Program, and then the Student Hub should be in here too. And so that's one place where you can find it. There will be tons of places for you to find the Student Hub, but it exists as a like a product, is what they call it in your library page. If you're not a member of the Coaching Hub, then it will be right here next to the program. If you are a Coaching Hub member, then and you have 3 products, it'll be down below. And so we can go ahead and click enter now, and then you can see that it's pretty much just like a Facebook group. So most people, I would imagine, have Facebook or have had Facebook at some point in the past, and so if you've ever been part of a Facebook group, you kind of already know how this works. You make a post and everyone can see it. I made an introduction video post, so when you go in there, you can go ahead and watch that, and it'll tell you all about kind of some of the things I might even talk about right now. And other people can comment on the post. You can like it. It's pretty simple. We wanted to keep it simple because with more complexity just comes a lot more confusion and issues and stuff like that. So we did have an option to choose a type of community that had like 45 features and all this stuff, and we're like, this is the goal, is for people just to come together in one place and interact. So we're keeping it simple. We do have different topics, so this is the most complex part about it. If you click on topics, you can see that we have kind of tried to organize the posts. There are no posts right now, not really. But when there are posts, you can tag your post with a topic if it falls into one of these categories. So I did a kind of an example one a question that I've received multiple times in the past, and I tagged it with the bridge tag, and so that's where it lives, here in the bridge topic. The feed is just the main feed, like on a Facebook group. So it's kind of what you see. You can see all the posts go through the feed. So that's really the simplicity of the Student Hub. There's no activity in there right now because we just opened it up like 10 minutes ago. So if you're a student, like I said before, if you're a student or a member of the Core Balance Training Program, you should have access to the Student Hub as of right now. And this is a reflection of changes that have been taking place in the program. We now have over 700 students, which is more than the program has ever had. And our goal is to adapt to this changing, environment and be able to better serve a larger number of people. I believe that the program is going to continue growing, and we're going to have, a large community of CBT students. And I think it's a great opportunity to bring people together who are on the same journey, who are going through the same thing, and who have the same goal to get out of back pain, and allow people to communicate. So that's the purpose and the goal of opening up this Student Hub. And I know there are a few people here live. If you have any questions about that, feel free to ask. And I'll go ahead and share a little bit more about some of the changes that are taking place behind the scenes, which you might notice. So another thing that's going to be changing is that what used to be the way that students would ask questions was by commenting down below at the bottom of each lesson. So there's a comment section at the bottom of each lesson. That is going to be frozen, so there will be no more ability to comment down there, but you will be able to see past comments and my answers. So you'll, I put a lot into those answers, and so they often answer questions for new students and can be really helpful information. So that will still be there, and you can kind of scroll through the comments for each lesson and see what has been written in the past. But the ability to write new comments is being replaced by the Student Hub. And so it kind of brings all the comments and posts all into one central place for a little more organization. It'll be a little easier to see all the comments. And then for students, one of the reasons that prompted the Student Hub was from a survey that we sent out. I believe it was about 2 months ago, we sent out a survey to all current and former students of the Core Balance Training Program. So, over 1,000 students received the survey. And one of the recurring themes that we had in the response, we got tons of responses, and we were super grateful to receive all the input from so many students. So thank you for that. One of the themes was to provide a way for students to interact with each other. And also another response we had was, or request was, to be able to see other students' comments more easily. Because what would happen is students who would pass a lesson, say you pass all the Module 1 lessons, and you're in Module 2 and beyond, you don't get to see all the comments and answers in the lessons from Module 1 anymore, unless you go back to those lessons And so this will also solve that problem. It just puts all the communication into one central hub and allows us to organize it into topics, and we'll see how it goes. I'm excited. I'm hopeful that it's going to work out well. And I think that the main determining factor is you guys, whether you decide to use it and what kind of energy ends up happening in there. It could be, we hope that it is a place for, compassion and helping each other out, sharing experiences, stories, background, encouraging each other. And, I think one of the great ways to learn from other students is to hear about their breakthroughs. Because in the core balance training program, I've noticed over the 6 years that I've been doing this, that the learning tends to happen in spurts. So you'll have, you may learn a bunch in the beginning and then experience a little bit of a plateau, and then boom, breakthrough. And that comes from the persistence. And sharing about that breakthrough, that aha moment that you experienced, is a great way to give insight to other students about what to expect. And especially for you more, experienced students, the alumni of the program, I think that you have a lot of potential to help some of the newer students coming in. So I'll stop rambling. I can see Sherry. Good to see you here, Sherry. Yes, over 700 students. Thank you. It's been a ride. It's been quite the ride to be able to handle and manage comments coming in from that many students. And what this hub will do, it will allow the program to continue growing without basically me being the limiting factor to reach more people. Because I have reached a point currently where I'm starting to be unable to handle all the comments coming through, and so it's outgrown me. And so the way we're going to do it now is, the student hub is going to be a place for students to interact and help each other. And when questions come through that are unique and maybe can't be answered by other students, that's when I'm going to feature those questions on these weekly live Q&As. And I will be answering some of the more, I'm going to choose the questions that I believe will be the most helpful and the most unique. And the truth is that the vast majority of questions that come through now are repeat questions. 98% of questions that are coming through are questions that have already been answered, and there, a lot of students have the same question. It is true that we all have unique symptoms, unique types of pain, but it's also true that the solution is often the same. So if you're experiencing pain with an exercise, the advice that I give, regardless of the pain, is to turn down the intensity, listen to your body, determine for yourself, develop the skill to determine for yourself, is this good pain or bad pain? So bad pain would be sharp, intense, or any nerve-related pain, numbness, tingling, shooting, electrical, burning, anything that feels nervy. And if that is the case, if it's bad pain, do not push through it. Do not continue. You need to turn down the intensity as much as you need to get to the point where that pain is not so apparent. And you might have to take a break. You might have to stop completely, give your body a rest, and then get back to it. And when you get back to it, based on that reflection you did on the previous experience, that's the listening to your body and the reflection. You're developing that skill. Then you guide your next attempt based on that. So only go up to the point right before you experience that type of pain and work there, work in that range. And so that's that's the general advice for bad pain. If it's good pain, if it's pain that is just from being stiff and needing to kind of work through it, that's a different kind of pain. That's usually dull, can be achy, and it's not necessarily an indicator of danger or damage. Then that's okay. That's something you can kind of play with and experiment with. You don't have to avoid it completely, and that kind of pain can turn into bad pain. So that's the skill that is important to develop, and that's actually the one thing that I cannot do, or any doctor on the planet cannot do for you, is determine, interpret the type of feelings that you feel, because you're the only one that can do that. So these are the types of answers that I find myself giving over and over in the program. And so by creating this student hub, we're going to have one single place where these answers can exist. We are creating frequently asked questions, FAQs, for all the topics. Currently, we do have the FAQ for the breathing lesson. So let's see if I can share that. If we go to topics here, go to the breathing Q&A, and right at the top here is the FAQ. So if you click that, you can see that this is the most frequently asked questions and my best advice. So there are several for the breathing. The breathing was probably had the most questions of all. And so that's a place to be able to search and find answers. We're going to be creating that for all the topics. And that's the next step for me. I spent the vast majority of my time up until now answering individual questions in the comments. And now I'm going to be switching gears. I'm going to be creating these FAQs and to be posted in the Student Hub as resources for everyone to be able to search out. If you can't find your answer, that's when you post. But I don't want posting only to be for questions. I would love, my goal and my hope for the community is for students to interact in any way that they find helpful, just to share. Last week we recently had a post in one of the lessons. One of the comments in the lessons was from a student who said, "Is this a good place to introduce myself?" And then he shared about his history and what's going on, and that he's excited. The lesson comments is not really the best place for that, because not many people are going to see that. But the Student Hub will be a fantastic place for something like that. So my hope is that the Student Hub can act like a community, like a Facebook group where people can introduce themselves, get to know each other, encourage each other, and share experiences, share difficulties and challenges, share pain, and be able to connect about what the same experience going through, that you're going through with so many other people, and then also share the breakthroughs and the milestones that you've achieved, like I was talking about earlier, which can be extremely insightful for students to be able to see what's ahead of them and what to expect, because the breakthroughs, just like the pain, are pretty predictable. At some point between week 2 and 3, and maybe 2 to 4, most students will have a breakthrough with what the anchors actually mean, and forming that connection in their core, and being able to just kind of have a realization about the benefits that connection is going to have for them. So that's my hope. And we'll see what happens. It's up to you guys. It's up to the students. And I will be in there. I'll be mostly reading and choosing the questions that I'll be responding to each week in these live streams. But I'll definitely be reading and learning about the students. You know, I hope and plan to read all the comments in the hub. So I see another couple things coming through in the chat. One from Val. Hey Val, welcome. Glad to see you here. I do remember you from not only previous live streams, but also in the program. I've seen your comments. You say, I have found answers to 99% of any question or issues by reading all the questions and answers in each module. I've read some of those threads multiple times. Thank you. Thank you, Val. That makes me feel great. Got, just really good feelings from you sharing that, and makes me feel maybe like this could be the right thing to do. We'll find out. And Holly, good to see you here, Holly. Another core member showing up on regular live streams, and happy to see you here. So why don't we, and if there are any questions, feel free to post in the chat, and I will keep my eye on the chat, and I'll be answering them. But I think I've kind of ran out of things to say, and so I'm going to go ahead and switch gears and start going into the Q&A portion of the stream. And we do have some slides prepared, so let me switch over. And before we do that, actually, we do have a bit of a tradition on the live streams where we feature a student each week. So this week's featured student is Vlad. And Vlad just responded to our program complete email, which you get after completing the 12 weeks. And he says, we don't have the questions listed, but he says, I have 85% less pain. I was able to get into the program after the first 5-day commitment. I think this commitment is a significant boost for sticking with the program. I appreciate that, Vlad, and I have to give some credit to a journal that I had in the past. I still have it, actually. It's right here. Let me just show it. I'm not affiliated with this, but the 5-minute journal, if you've heard of it, it's pretty dirty because it's pretty old. They started the journal with that 5-day commitment to filling out your journal each day. And so I thought that was pretty powerful, and that's how we start the program with a 5-day commitment. Because if you can get over that hump of 5 days, then you prove to yourself that you can go further than 5 days. And it's quite a cool feeling to be able to do that. So thank you for the feedback on that, Vlad. Next, Vlad says, definitely, but still feel that I forget about my posture from time to time. So I think this question was, do you feel an increased core connection and body awareness? He says, I need to figure out how not to slouch on the couch when I'm watching TV. The couch is one of the worst environments to be able to prevent yourself from slouching. The couch is a slouch machine, and it just forms you into a slouch. So that's a task I've never been able to overcome. And actually, call me crazy, but I do not own a couch because of that reason. Most people think I'm crazy for that. And I gotta give some credit to my wife for putting up with that, because she's not as crazy as me. So Vlad says, I have already adjusted my car seat, so I feel like that is helping. Great. Number 4, I think so, and I hope so. I don't remember what this question is. I plan to continue. Oh, I think this question was, do you think that what you've learned in this program will have a long-term impact? And he says, I plan to continue to do maintenance in the mornings and the nightly bridge. Number 5, the connection to core anchors, the pelvic tilt concept, knowing how to do a proper bridge. There are a lot of things about the program that will stick with me. Number 6, I think it's a great program, embedding links to exercises. This is a recommendation. Embedding links to exercises mentioned in a new lesson that were done in previous lessons would be great. Overall, I'm very thankful to you for this program and providing me the opportunity to improve my lifelong posture issues. Thank you, Vlad. And I have to pass the credit to you because completing this program and achieving all the progress you've made is a major accomplishment, and it only comes from you doing the work. It's 100% your credit for all the progress you made, and I'm proud of you and grateful to have you in the program. So thank you, Vlad. So let's move on to the questions. And this one's from Sherry, and I believe Sherry is here, unless it's a different Sherry. I know that there is currently at least 2 Sherrys in the program, but we will... I'm going to assume that it is the Sherry that's here, so let's go ahead and get to the question. In response to a checking in email, I have been struggling with advancing through Module 4. Lifting my second foot off the ground puts a ton of pressure on the right side of my spine at the sacrum. And then I get delayed onset pain at this spot. Okay. Which is ground zero from my initial injury. Okay. Having both legs up seemed to reveal the weakness I still have in my core. I had a few setbacks these last couple of months trying to progress through these exercises. Okay. Appreciate the background info, Sherry. And you say, yes, it is me. So thank you for that clarification. The question is, I have gone back to modules 1 to 3, but not sure if I should continue to try and master module 4 or skip ahead to module 5. I just wonder how to know when it's okay to advance and when I should stay in a module and try to refine or perfect the movements. Okay, so I think I can provide some advice here, and I think that I'm okay with you continuing to progress, Sherry. However, I don't want you to give up on module 4. And the reason is because and you said it in your note that this exercise has revealed, I use the word expose. So this exercise has exposed a weakness of yours, and those exposures are fantastic news to me as a practitioner. My goal is to find and expose the weaknesses in my patients so that then we can strengthen them and strengthen the weakest link of the chain, because you're only as strong as the weakest link. And so when we find a weakness, we go towards it and not away from it. And so that's my advice to you, is to go towards it. And the way that I encourage you to do that is to be extremely satisfied with even just lifting a second foot off the floor. So, I have found that a lot of students are excited to get to the point of extending the legs out, in basically the dying bug motion of, the physical therapy exercise. But that is not the exercise. That is not the heart of this exercise that I call the back anchor challenge. The heart of it is staying connected to your back anchor, the back anchor connection to the floor. And everything else about the exercise is just a distraction to that connection. And so lifting one foot up off the floor and bringing it all the way up, so that even in itself is a progression from module 1's back anchor progression, day 3. And so if you can just bring that leg all the way up, full control, and then all the way back down and set it back down, then that's a great progression. And you can do that and be proud of yourself because you are progressing from where you were before. And if you feel like you are confident with that, then the next thing you can do is, like you said, bringing your second foot up off the floor. So you bring the first one up, you hold it up, and then you lift the second one up. And there is a critical moment there where it's going to require significant strength in your core to stay connected at the point of of unweighting that second leg. So if you can add that, or even a partial unweighting of the second leg where you don't even lift it all the way off the ground, but you reduce the amount of pressure into the floor of that leg. So like a 50% unweight. There are infinite ways, and I mean literally infinite ways, to progress and regress this back anchor challenge exercise to match your current level of fitness, your current ability, and build on that. And so that's my encouragement to you. Is it's not black or white, yes or no, I can do this or I can't. It's find this point on the scale that I can do and work right there at my appropriate level of challenge. And what happens when you do that is your body adapts to those challenges and says, okay, you challenged me in this way. This is an appropriate level of challenge. And so next time you try this, I'm going to be a little bit stronger so that I can meet that challenge. And the ideal level of challenge is about, what the research says, is about 4% beyond your current capability. And so it's not doubling the challenge. It's not going from 0 to 100. It's really, the magic is in the subtleties. And so that's what I would encourage to you. And let's see if there's any other questions in here. With the pain that you have said is ground zero, it might more be that as your guide than the weakness. So you want to work, if the threshold is not strength and weakness, but it's pain or no pain, then that's the scale that you're working on. And you want to go right up to that point before it becomes bad pain or aggravating, triggering, flare-up pain, and go work right underneath that and push that threshold. So that is, I think, applicable to you, unless it's, maybe a combination of the weakness and the pain, and they're interrelated. Let me know if that's helpful, and I guess, you just did. So, okay, great. Excellent advice, description of how to go forward in this exercise. Thank you so much, Ryan, for the suggestions and encouragement and help. Of course, Sherry, I always appreciate you. You are such a committed student, and just really grateful to have you in the program. And as far as progressing, you can simultaneously, if you want to, if you think that it's appropriate and you have the desire to, you can go into module 5. That's the beginning of phase 2. It's totally different than phase 1, but it's built on top of phase 1. So we use all the skills that we've developed in phase 1, and we add this totally new layer of functional movements. Up until this point in the program for you, modules 1 through 4, it hasn't been very functional. But now we're going to switch gears in module 5 through 8, and it's going to be movements of daily life. And then, and that, I think, should be your focus for a while when you're ready. And you don't have to stop doing the phase 1 activities during that time. So, glad to hear that helps, and I'm going to go ahead and move on. I just saw a comment from Holly. It says, nice, love the no couch thing. My boyfriend supported me getting a less comfy couch that is firmer and requires we sit up more. I also sit in the middle instead of at the armrest. Yeah, that's interesting, Holly. The armrest does become a crutch, and it makes us lean a certain way and push down on our elbows. And that I've found I'm not a huge fan of armrests because it gives me muscle tension, and I'd rather just use my core. So yeah, I don't think I'll ever convince the world about my views on couches, but it's cool to see that there are other people that feel similarly. Nathan showing up. Good to see you here, Nathan. And you said, I think I saw where Core Balance has cell phone app. New Student Hub accessible from there? Yeah, so the New Student Hub is accessible from the Kajabi app. If you don't know, I know you know, Nathan, but if for anyone else who doesn't know, you can access the core balance training program through an app called Kajabi, which is the platform we use for the program. And everything should be accessible from there. The Student Hub, it's pretty, I think it's pretty user friendly. So you'll see it in there, and I don't think I even have to explain it. So yep, it'll be just kind of like using Facebook on your phone if you're in the Student Hub. And then Sherry, the only difficulty is my pain is usually delayed onset, so sometimes hard to tell when I am reaching that point of almost pain. Okay, so we're back on this question here. So usually delayed onset. Yeah, so that, Sherry, whenever I refer to listening to your body, it is, I think it can be misinterpreted from people to mean in the moment. And what I think I need to expand on, and I'm sure you already get this, but for other people, is listening to your body involves the process of reflecting back to previous activities. So for you especially, because the pain is delayed onset, and this is common for SI joint pain, this is common for a lot of ligament type injuries. You don't feel it when you're doing the exercise, but later you do. And that requires even more the skill of listening to your body and reflecting back, because what you have to do now is go, okay, I feel this much pain right now from what I did earlier. And I have to remember how much intensity, how much amplitude of movement did I do earlier, so that next time when I do it, I can kind of remember, oh yeah, okay, I need to go only to this point of what I am feeling in my experience of doing this exercise. Because last time I went too far, and I got to reduce my intensity or my amplitude. Sometimes it can be the frequency of doing the exercise. How often do you do it? So reduce one of those elements or multiple, and then it's a long process, but then you got to wait till later in the day again and go, okay, my body responded better this time. All right, I got more information. And so that's the development of the skill of learning your body. And then it becomes even more fun when you realize that our bodies are dynamic. So the threshold can change, especially if you're doing the right thing. The threshold can be, that's the goal, is get pushed further out. And so you're constantly testing. And one student once said, it's a constant dance. And I'm stealing that statement. It's a constant dance. It's a never-ending dance. And until you reach your goal, you dance. You play that game, and the skill does get easier. You do develop it. And I have no doubt, Sherry, that you are capable, just having seen all the commitment and the, just your questions that you ask are very thoughtful. So let's move on to the next question. This one's from Brandon, and I'll go back to the slides. This is a contact us form submission. Brandon is a student. Says, I should start by saying I am a counselor and sit for close to 8 hours per day, leading to anterior pelvic tilt. I worked your program up to the introduction of the perfect bridge. I was doing well up until this point, but now feel that the aching pain returning to the injured area, L4, L5. Okay. The breathing exercises helped in tightening the core, but once I started the perfect bridge, the aching pain returned. I'm guessing I need to stop the bridge and wait a month or so for the area to heal. Are there other parts of the program I should focus on before doing the bridge? Okay, so that's a good question. I'm just going to review L4, L5. Do you describe the pain at all, Brandon? Not necessarily, but you do say anterior pelvic tilt. Oh, aching pain. All right. And aching pain. Yes. Okay. So definitely my answer to your first question, should I stop for a month or so? That my answer is no. definitely do not do that. What you need to do, actually, I would encourage you to, if you haven't watched the question that I just answered for Sherry right before this one, to watch that. My advice is going to be the same as I gave to her, and it's going to be about not so much stop or go, where you either do the exercise or you don't, but you find the scale of what amount of intensity and amplitude of movement in the bridge can you tolerate, and you learn how to you learn more about your body in that process. By the way, if anybody's wondering, this is why the Student Hub is being created, is because there's so many different symptoms and issues and problems, but what you find is my answer is very similar. And it's going to be about listening to your body. It's going to be about if it's bad pain, if you're experiencing what you consider to be bad pain, it's going to be about going right up to before that threshold where the bad pain comes on in the exercise, whatever exercise you're doing, and not go into it. Do not go into the pain. Do not push through it. Go right below it and work there. Challenge yourself there. And if that means only doing 2% of the movement, that's where you're at. Because guess what? If you do that successfully without flaring up the pain, then your body has just gotten stronger. And next time you do it, you can do 3% of the exercise. And it only takes 90 days to get up to, pretty much doing the full exercise. That's 3 months. And that's, ironically, it's the length of this program. So it's going to be that type of constant decision making based on your unique body and the feelings that you feel. For you, Brandon, you do say that it's aching, and aching is kind of an in-between ground. So bad pain is either sharp or intense, or it can be nerve type pain. Aching could be interpreted as either. Usually good pain would be more dull, or it can be stiffness related pain, and sometimes it's okay to push through that. And so for you, you're going to have to determine, is this a type of pain that I don't want to push through? Then you're going to follow the bad pain protocol of push the threshold of your abilities to do the exercise without triggering that pain. But if you determine, okay, I don't know if this is intuitively, I don't feel like this pain is really that bad. It might just be that my body hasn't moved this way in a long time. Let's experiment. And then you're going to get more information later. If you feel better later, then that was a good decision. And if you feel worse later, then next time to turn it down. And so you may have already gotten that information, Brandon, from doing the bridge. And so I'm going to answer your other question, which was, are there other parts of the program I should focus on before doing the bridge? What I recommend to you, Brandon, is to do the back anchor awareness, the back anchor progression, the breathing, and you said you got benefits from that, so do more. Another general rule of advice that I'm giving to many, many students is do more of what's helping. If you find some magic thing that's helping, then that is amazing, and you should do a lot of it until you wear that thing out and it's not providing you that benefit anymore. You should milk it. And so do more of the things that are helping, and if it's hurting, then do less of it. So you said that breathing and potentially some of the early exercises helped. Do more of those, and then with the bridge, just only go to the point in the process that I teach the bridge. The back anchor progression is part of it. Go up to the point where you can tolerate, and then right at that edge, and then stop there. And then next time you do it, see if you can push that edge a little further. See if you can go a little bit further. So hopefully that helps. And the other thing I just want to mention to you, Brandon, is it's okay to go into module 2 while you're still working on module 1. So you might find, based on your body and your condition, your history, that the front anchors feel really good. It's often the case for people that, you know, one or the other, the front anchors or the back anchor is favorable. And so you might find that, and there's only one way to find out. So don't feel like you need to stop. I never recommend stop. I recommend slow down. And that's will be my advice to you. And you're going to be learning throughout this whole process. So next time you do it, you can do it a little better and a little more deliberate with that increased core connection. Hopefully that helps you, Brandon. And let's check the chat real quick. Still good on the chat. And I got 3 more questions. So this one is posted in the back anchor awareness from Matthew. He says, this exercise seems, let me switch. This exercise seems counterintuitive to what I've always been told by my chiropractor. Your problem is you are losing the natural curve in your lower spine. Discs are getting straight and decreasing space between them. So they have me use a tool called the posture pump. I'm sure you've seen. Thoughts? I don't know the posture pump, Matthew. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to Google it. Posture pump. Let's see. Interesting contraption. Okay. So I don't know the posture pump, but at first sight, Brandon, I think that this is a very specific use case, so may be helpful for certain people, but I don't see it. Those types of contraptions are not, just by nature, they're not long-term solutions. They can't possibly be long-term solutions because they are on the outside of you. Okay, they exist in the external environment, and the only long-term solution that I know of, educate me if I'm wrong, the only one I know of is inside you. So the solution is going inward and learning how to better use your body. And if there's something that's happening to you from the outside, then that becomes if say it's effective and it reduces your pain, that becomes something that you need to do regularly. So like you could call it a dependency. And sometimes even with those types of things, the effectiveness decreases over time. And so I would encourage you to just think about the way that you're using your body, and that's, you know, what we teach in the program is a new way of connecting with your core and learning how to move with that core connection. And if your problem is that you're losing the natural curve of your spine, and that's the cause of your pain, you're going to be able to know that through doing exercises that would like forward bending exercises that would flatten your lower back. If those are the things that cause you pain, like for example the back anchor awareness or progression, if that causes you pain and it's bad pain, then that's your answer. But I don't think that your chiropractor would be able to know that because he can't feel what's going on in your body. And to say if he's making a general statement that the reason that people get lower back pain is because they're losing the natural curvature of their spine, then I strongly disagree. I think actually a more common cause of back pain is too much curvature of the spine. And so that would be related to, the poor posture that we see. The straightening of the spine is actually interpreted by some people as better posture. We don't want perfectly straight spine, but for most people, I'd say about 80% of people in the chronic lower back pain population, they have hyperlordosis, or increased arching of the lower back beyond what we need to be healthy and have good posture. And so that is my personal opinion. But what we're doing with the back anchor, since you posted in the back anchor awareness lesson, we are not our goal is not to straighten your posture with this exercise. This is a exercise of learning a connection to your muscles. And so by connecting your back anchor, you're basically you're doing a very natural thing that we did when we were infants and babies, which is connect to the floor with that area, that support zone of your body. And there is an effect that happens in your abdominal muscles. And we're just trying to learn, and we're developing awareness of that feeling of that muscle activity. It's electrical activity that flows through those muscles. And that's what we're doing. And that's it. It's just developing familiarity and awareness with that. And so we're not actually trying to change your posture at this point. We're just trying to activate muscles. So hopefully that answers your question. Also, if it's causing you pain, you didn't mention that it causes you pain, but if it's causing you pain and you determine that is bad pain, then it's at that point when you can start asking the question, well, maybe decreased curvature of my spine or forward bending of my lumbar spine is the cause of my pain. Maybe. And that would put you in about the 20% population of people in chronic lower back pain is a less common reason. But the anterior pelvic tilt and increased arch in the lower back is the majority. And I can't speak about you because I'm not sure. So let's check the chat real quick. Hopefully that helps you, Matthew. And I encourage you to just experiment and explore and let your body tell you, rather than someone else who cannot feel the types of pain and what causes the pain. You're the only one that can do that. So I see a post, so excited for this. Awesome. The Secret of Steel. That's a really cool name. What is the Secret of Steel? And welcome, and I'm happy to have you here. I'm excited for you too. It seems like it's if you've got back pain, it seems like it's been pretty effective for a lot of people. So I'm excited for you to experience it, the Secret of Steel. And if you don't mind sharing, what is the Secret of Steel? I'm so curious. So the next question is from Julia. We have two more questions. And this one was posted in the Front Anchors Progression. Julia says, various practitioners have told me that some of my back issues come from having very little lumbar curve. Okay, so this is the same question, and I meant to group these together in my answer, and I kind of forgot that there were two of the very, very, very similar questions. So here we go. Having too little lumbar curve, maybe as a result of doing lots of 90s Pilates and C-curves in my 20s. I gather they've changed how the C-curve is done now. I'm wondering if the front anchor situation is problematic for me because it does seem to flatten the curve somewhat. Back anchor 2 with the get fat position / concept. Is there anything I can or should do to maintain the curve, or will it all work out just by following the intentions as you've described so that it isn't specifically about the pelvic tuck, even if that does happen a bit? That's a great question, Julia. And so what I'm going to do first, Julia, is I'm going to recommend you to rewind, because I just answered this same question for Matthew. And I'm also going to give you more of an answer. So yeah, if you haven't already watched from the beginning of the Q&A portion of the stream, I really encourage you to just start from the beginning, because my answer is going to apply to you as well and to a lot of these situations. But the vast majority of people that have chronic lower back pain are actually in the category of having excessive lumbar curve in their spine. And regardless of whether or not that's true, let's say that's not true, and I encourage you to do your own research and don't trust what I tell you. But let's just assume it doesn't matter whether that's true or not. For your unique individual body, the only way for you to know what is going to be good for it or bad for it is by listening to what it communicates to you through pain and or good feelings when you do things. And so I encourage you, for your body going through this program, to just listen to your body as your number one guide, not the various practitioners that you've talked to in your life, but your body. And when you do the exercises, say you do the back anchor, say you do the back anchor progression, say you do the front anchors, if you feel that they feel good for your body and it's helping, then that's a good thing. And do more of that. And if you feel that one or more of them feels bad for your body or is increasing your pain or your problem, then there's really a couple options. One, your body doesn't like that at all, and that's not for you. Or two, we can change something about the way that you're doing it. And I've found through the Coaching Hub, which is where I do video reviews of students' movements, that there are students out there doing these exercises really, really differently than I intend for people to do them. It's all over the board. Some people do them perfectly, and others, it's like they're doing a totally different program. And so it might require, for those types of people, it might require reviewing the lesson and turning down the intensity, turning down the amplitude of the movement, and just really feeling into your body, going slow, going real subtle, and listen and feel. Your body will tell you. And then that's at that point where you can ask questions and have more information to take your next step. If your body's giving you information to don't do more, then I strongly encourage you not to do more. And so this is an art. It's a skill that can be developed. I'm still developing the skill in my body because it's a never-ending dance of interpreting, the current state of things in your body, and let that be your main guide. Because if there's one thing I can say for sure, if there's nothing else but this one thing that I can say for sure, is that you are the only one that can feel your body. And even the best doctor, best practitioner, best anyone in the world, including me, cannot feel those feelings. And so it would be hard for me to make any, I just couldn't imagine making a statement like, the reason for your pain is this, with absolute certainty. Well, all we can do is go by percentages, and from the research I've done, it's that the vast majority of lower back pain issues come from excessive lumbar curvature. So that might not be the case for you, because there's still that 20% where it's more of a flat back situation, but that's definitely not what I've seen in the years of doing this. And the other thing I was saying to Matthew was that these exercises are not so much trying to change your posture quite yet. We're going to get there, but right now we're just developing connection to the muscles, the electrical connection, and building that connection, increasing the amount of electricity flow to those muscles, so you have a stronger connection to those muscles that support your spine. And the posture is not going to change until that happens. And so these early days of the program are not so much postural as they are learning, muscle memory type things. Hopefully that answers your question. If so, I don't know if your curve is too much or too little, so I can't answer anything that you should do to maintain the curve. But what I can say is that this program, I might have just been able to answer with this. This program does seem to help for both types, the 80% and the 20%. We've had people with flat back that are in the 20% go through the program and have significant life-changing success, where they get back to activities like surfing and skating with their kids that they weren't able to do before. And this one student, particularly Rob, that I remember, he was in the flat back. He did not have enough curve in his spine, but these same exercises helped him. And he's a physical therapist, by the way. So now he's helping other people with what he's learned in the program. So hopefully that helps, Julia. And I see that Anthony posted in the chat, got my first epidural shot and starting CBT today. Super glad to hear that, Anthony. Not so much about the epidural, but that you're starting CBT, that I do hope the epidural helps you to be able to do the things that are going to help you. And excited for you to experience, the lessons in the program. And I encourage you to stay committed because I do believe in this stuff. And also try, I don't know if anybody's posted in the Student Hub yet, but since you just started today, try posting in the Student Hub and see what happens. Introduce yourself and let's break the ice and get some activity going in there. All right, let's go to the last one. This is, looks like this is from the same person, Julia. So let's get into it. She says, she posts this one in the, let me switch screens here. In the 10% rule lesson. So this is from module 2, day 2, I believe. She says, she edited to add, I see that there are other lessons about this coming up and in the extras, so you don't have to reply. So I don't have to reply, but I'm still going to reply, Julia. So here we go. Breathing into my back. Oh, and I just want to commend you, Julia, for seeking out your own answers, because that's really how you learn the best. And so it looks like you had these questions and then you realized that you could answer them for yourself. And that's what I really hope for students to do. I hope that the Student Hub is a catalyst for students to be able to start answering and searching for their own questions. And so thank you for doing that. And you can post in the Student Hub too. Why not? Anybody who is here, I encourage you to post in the Student Hub and yeah, break the ice. See if we can get some activity in there. All right, so let's read the question. So, breathing into my back was a revelation. I felt a tremendous sense of relief from it. Some of that has worn off. I still like it, but it doesn't feel quite as amazing. Think I've just gotten used to it. It's possible, Julia, and I would imagine that there's more to it than just that, because after doing, I've been doing this breathing method for I don't know how many years, maybe close to 10, and I still get benefits from it. So I don't think that it wears off like a painkiller, or you build up a tolerance to it. I think breathing is a skill that you can constantly develop for the rest of your life, and it's a never-ending skill, just like meditation, to just keep getting better at with no end. So I'd encourage you to keep exploring it, and maybe it's just something that you need to change about how you're doing it or progress so that you can keep getting the benefits. So your next question is about the front anchors. I could feel the back anchor right away and I can do the bridge. The front anchors have thrown me. I'm having a hard time with the pubic bone anchor. One issue is that it hurts. Just the actual pressure on the bone is uncomfortable. So this is an issue that we've had with other students, Julia, and it is okay to do like thicker yoga mats. You can do as many layers as you need of cushion just to soften the firm surface, so it's not making your pubic bone sore. That's okay to do. You say, I'm using 2 yoga mats, but maybe I should add a blanket or something. Yeah, that you got to find what works for you. So yeah, that's okay. The second issue is that I'm having a hard time feeling the rise. I think I'm forcing it too much and trying to actively lift my legs, and then lower my back feels strained. And then my lower back feels strained. I'm guessing the answer is to dial it back and barely lift at all. Maybe focus more on just pushing away from the pubic bone and not think about lifting. I think you've found your answer already, Julia. That is right. That's the advice that I recommend. And also, turning down the intensity of the push away will also help with your first issue, which was the soreness, the tenderness on the pubic bone. And so, if you were pushing away at, say, 50% and you drop it down to, say, 5%, that will be a lot less pressure and maybe be a lot more tolerable. You may need to take a day or two for the tenderness to go away between doing that, but I think that'll also be a great solution for you. So what I can say about the front anchors is that this was the case for me too. The front anchors were much harder for me to grasp. It took me probably months because I didn't have anybody to teach it to me. I was just experimenting with it. It took me months to really, really get it. And there's a lot of magic in the front anchors. There's a lot of opportunity for developing body awareness and core connection. And it's not easy for some people. For some people, it comes very naturally, and the back anchor is what's harder. But for people like me and maybe like you, the back anchor is a little easier, and the front anchors are harder. And so keep working on the ones, go towards the ones that are more challenging for you, and turn down the intensity, tune into your body, watch the lesson video over and over. And I feel very confident that with persistence, you will have a day when you have a breakthrough, and you'll feel that core connection and that ability to use your abdominals to pull the pubic bone to the floor and make that connection. And then you will need the glutes. You don't lose the abdominal connection, but you bring in the glutes in addition as the push away for the legs to unweight. And that can only be 2% glutes or 5%. The legs don't actually have to come off the floor to get the benefit. It's more about the muscular connection than anything else. I see a post in the chat from Nathan. I hope you have a good Christmas. If you feel adventurous, you can fly to Indianapolis and help me shovel snow. Oh, wow. 4 to 6 inches Thursday night, Friday morning. My travels are going to be a lot less distance than that, Nathan. I'm driving 2.5 hours down the coast to San Clemente, and I'm going to spend it with my family, where the weather will probably be most likely 70 degrees and sunny. But who knows? Maybe we'll get some unusual weather that doesn't normally happen. But if I didn't have any family at all to go see Nathan, I would definitely consider flying out there and shoveling snow, because actually, interestingly, and I just told this to my friend who moved into a new home, and he needed to lift a bunch of heavy objects. I love lifting heavy things now because it feels good for my body. And so I would, he's got a bunch of rocks and big chunks of cement on his property. And I was like, I could go to the gym and lift weights, or I could be outside in your yard and lift weights and do it for a purpose. So, I encourage you to think of shoveling snow in that way, where it is exercise. It's good for your body, and it's all about how you do it. It's not about what you do, it's about how you do it. So thanks for sharing that, Nathan. And let's get to the last part of Julia's question. For the upper front anchors rib cage, I don't feel it in quite as clear a way as I do for the back rib cage anchor. I can lift, but it doesn't quite feel like pushing away from the anchor the way the back one feels like a fulcrum. Any advice for dialing in to that feeling? I have also found that it can strain my back when my shoulders and head lift, but that if I focus on grounding the pubic bone, that helps. Is that correct? Yes. I love it, Julia, because you are finding the answers to your questions, even in the way, even in the way that you ask these questions. So by keeping your pubic bone connected, you are providing more stability. You're activating the abdominal muscles and providing more stability for your spine, so that when you push away from the rib cage, there's not so much stress on your lower back. And that's actually part of the whole goal of this front anchor connection, is to learn how to do that posture opening motion of your upper torso without straining the lower back. And the key is the pubic bone connection to be able to do that. So you keep the rib cage and the pubic bone connected, then you learn how to open your shoulders. And the other thing I just want to say is that you may not feel it because it's might be just easier for you, Julia. So it's a lot less weight on the upper front anchor than on the back anchor. So, the fulcrum is farther up the body, and you might not have to push away as hard to get the same effect. Also, I would encourage you to not push away as hard. Turn down the intensity to 2%, and that's when you really feel it. And that's the hardest thing for me to explain to people is the magic happens at the lower intensities when you really get to feel the connections, because when you're operating at a higher intensity, you're bringing in other muscle groups, other strong muscles that are really good at doing these things, but they're compensatory, and that complicates things because you got more moving parts and more involvement. But when you turn down the intensity really low, it singles it out to the tiny little muscles that are most proximal to your spine, and that's when you can really feel it. So I think that might be just a general thing for you for both the upper and lower front anchors is go down to the level of intensity where you feel like you might not even be doing anything, and meditate. And if you feel like you're not doing enough, that's where I want you to be. Meditate on that and just feel what you feel on. And I think that might solve pretty much most of the questions that you have. And that might even be the case for breathing. Who knows? Maybe just turning down the intensity. Maybe it seems like the theme for you is that you were going kind of hard with a lot of these things. So turn the breathing down and feel the subtleties of it. And that might be a breakthrough for you. And if it is, share your breakthrough in the Student Hub and let other people know so you can help other people. So thank you for asking those questions. And also, I know I didn't need to reply, but I wanted to reward you for your, doing your own research to find the answers, and add my 2 cents to it as well. So that's all the questions for today. It looks like there's no more questions in the chat. Thank you for the Christmas wishes, Nathan. I say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everyone, those who are here live or watching the replay. This is the last stream before Christmas, so go enjoy your loved ones, and that's what I'll be doing. And go to the Student Hub and check it out and post and share something. It doesn't even have to be important. It could just be that you did your exercises today. And let's and we'll support you and let you know that we're proud of you, because that's the biggest and most important factor to success is staying committed every day. Thank you, Sherry. Merry Christmas to you. And I guess I'm signing off. So we went for an hour and 15 minutes today, way longer than I expected, but that happens every time. Thank you, everyone, for showing up for yourselves. That's what this is all about. This is about you. And until next time, get down on the floor and connect to your core. Take care, everyone, and happy holidays.